welcome to this, the first episode in our spooky season bonanza. Now, as with last year, we are opening with a spoiler-free ARC read. Now, I came across this ARC read via a horror Facebook group, and I applied for this, or it was on, or I put a status up looking for something. I can't remember, and I didn't write it down. But this is the arc of Embermere by Mikayla Buckman. So this being an arc read, there will be absolutely no spoilers going forward, but strap in for the blurb. The year is 1955, and Paul and his wife Ruby have left the city behind, seeking suburban tranquility. Paul lands a great new job, and Ruby starts working at the local diner. Everything seems perfect, except for their neighbours, whose overly cheerful smiles stretch just a little too far. Disturbing rumours about a mysterious death and whispers of cannibalism prompt them to investigate, uncovering something far more sinister than they ever imagined. As Paul and Ruby delve deeper into the neighbourhood's secrets, grisly murders begin to occur, each one more gory than the last, sparking questions about who, or what, is responsible. Paul's inner demons resurface and Ruby is forced to confront her past. In a community where nothing is as it seems, Paul and Ruby uncover a horrifying truth that forces them into a fight for survival against an unimaginable evil. Like I said, it's a good one. You can probably see from the blurb why this got me in a chokehold as it did. This was one of a group of arcs that I downloaded to take away with me on holiday, and I read while I was over in Greece. Now, you would expect that it probably wasn't the right sort of setting to get stuck into a cannibalistic horror. But my friend was getting a tattoo at the time, and I started this, and I almost finished it by the time it was done. I couldn't put it down. I didn't want to put it down. It was interesting and just pure horror. It was wonderful. Now, I apologise while doing this video because I can see on the recording on my phone that the light keeps going like this. So I'll try and get rid of it in editing. If I can't, please bear with me. Now, this book opens with the character of Helen, and she is lovely. But you get the vibe that something is a little bit off. Something's not quite right, either with her or where she is or who's around her. There's just something a little bit off. To be quite honest, she reminds me of Bree from Desperate Housewives. You know, that overly nice, bringing food round to new neighbours kind of thing. It's a bit too much. And it's mentioned quite a few times in the very first few chapters that Paul definitely thinks that there is something off with Helen and her husband Walter. Not necessarily the whole neighbourhood, but those two in particular, they're the only two they've met right now. Now, in reading the first few chapters, because Paul has this thought that something's a bit off over and over and over again, I wasn't sure whether we were being spoon-fed too much as a reader. I wasn't sure whether I was going to like it or not, because I don't like being spoon-fed information that is obvious and spoon-fed the details of a situation or going over a situation that's just happened and being, like neon signed there's something wrong, rather than as you're reading be able to feel that oddness. But that went away. After the first few chapters, I think once she got into a stride of writing, that whole thing went out the door. As these pages were turning, you really felt the suspense start to grow. It's like that feeling that you get before a really good thunderstorm, where there's, the air is just a bit weird, the lighting's a bit off, and you just feel like something is coming, something is going to happen, and you can feel it. Now, the tension, especially in the beginning, is so subtle that you're drawn into the story before you even realise how much you've read. And by the time it gets to the end of a chapter, you have to start the other chapter because you have to know what happens. Because, oh my god, when shit hits the fan, shit hits the fan. But I will say, once the action starts picking up, especially in the end few chapters, it's... You know, like when somebody is telling you a really juicy story and they can't wait to tell you, and their brain is telling you faster than their mouth can do it, and the words jumble over each other in a rush to get out, in a rush to get the ending, in a rush to get all the ideas out onto the page and the reader to read it. That's what the ending felt like. It felt a bit rushed and crammed. I think it would have been more beneficial to just take a moment, do a bit more description, and still have the action going on, just hold it a bit. But in saying that, I enjoyed reading this book. This book gets 4 stars from me. I think it comes out on the 1st of October, which is great because that's when this video comes out. It's the first in my October series. I am shamelessly self-promoting as it is my channel. Now, as I said, it does feel like a rush towards the end, like just information and action is just pounding my eyes while reading this. But that's not to say it's not good. It was marvellously and absolutely unhinged. And I mean, like, you start off, say, here, and things are a bit odd. And then you're like, well, you know, it's picking up a bit. And then oh. Well, Jesus Christ, that escalated quickly. And then it escalates. And then it can't escalate anymore. And then, oh, fuck. And then just all bets are off and everything's fucked. It's just diabolically unhinged, and I loved reading it. For lovers of horror that just sucks you in and won't let you go and shakes you, it's like the author grabs the back of the reader's head and forces them to look at this gory, diabolical, unhinged events happening on this little, perfect, suburban 50s cul-de-sac of Embermere. But whoa. You know, like when you finish something and you have to close it and take a breath and look around you and think, thank God the world is normal. Thank God that's not real. It's just a story, it can't hurt me. That's what this is. For lovers of horror, this one is a must-read, and when it comes out, I will I will link the Amazon page down below so you can check it out for yourselves. As the spooky season approaches, one thing to remember: keep reading.